Hello there, CryptoWisers. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Milton, and I will be your captain for this episode. Guys, do you remember the good old days when you covered DeFi? All you had to do was cover Ethereum. Just kidding. Those weren't the good old days. These are the good days. Because not only do we have Ethereum, we have many other chains building really exciting ecosystems, but it does make it much harder to cover everything. There is so much going on in crypto. Not only do we have to cover Ethereum, we have to cover Polkadot, of course. Polkadot, our fave. We got to cover Solana, amazing. We got to cover Phantom, amazing. We got to cover Terra Luna. We got to cover Elrond. We got to cover Cosmos. And we still got to give a little bit of love to the Binance Smart Chain, although it's definitely not the in vogue chain. Still very user-friendly and very, very, very cheap. But today's video is going to be all about the hottest chain in crypto this week. That is Avalanche. Avalanche is quickly becoming a Dex hub. There are so many Dexes on Avalanche already. So in today's video, we're going to have a look at the ones we think are the top Dexes on Avalanche right now. So buckle up, because this is going to be another exciting episode of CryptoWise. All right, CryptoWisers, before I dive into these Avalanche Dexes, got to remind you, we are very, very soon going to be giving away one of these beautiful CryptoWise NFTs created with our friends at Umi Digital. Marvin is back this week, so we will pick a date. We will announce a date this week for when the giveaway will happen, most likely sometime next week. So make sure you come over to the old Twitter at CryptoWise Daily. We got our pinned tweet here. Gives you all the information you need to be able to enter to win one of these masterpieces. All right, guys, we gotta talk Avalanche. This chain has been on fire. It is now the 12th ranked crypto with a market cap of over $15 billion. This is the monthly chart here, and it did hit a kind of recent low of about 35 bucks just a couple of weeks ago. From there, it went on, it hit almost $80. Now it's back down to about 68. But wow, is Avalanche on fire this last week or so. When it almost hit 80, that was its all-time high, 79.52. We saw Solana just take off over the last few months, and it looks like Avalanche is saying, it's my turn now. All right, if we come over here and look at Uni Whales, this is a great tool if you don't know about it. It basically tracks all the liquidity that is bridging over to the different chains. So this is the last 15 days, over $2 billion in deposits have gone into Avalanche in only 2 weeks. That is incredible. Now, almost $1 billion worth of withdrawals also, but that is a plus of over $1 billion in 2 weeks. And if we look at this kind of daily chart here, something was going on here on the 23rd. A ton of deposits, a ton of withdrawals. But then on the 24th, another ton of deposits. And since then, not many withdrawals. So Avalanche is definitely on fire in terms of the amount of liquidity that is going into Avalanche and the various projects there. So if we take a look here at our old buddy DeFi Llama, this tells us where all the liquidity is at any given time. We can see Avalanche now with the 6th most liquidity at 3.73 billion, just behind Polygon. I think they're going to overtake Polygon in the next couple of weeks. Still got a ways to go to catch Terra and Solana, which are at 3 and 4 respectively, kind of that tier down. And then Binance Smart Chain, not getting a lot of love these days. And I agree with that. I think the Solana is much better, Avalanche much better. That is where the momentum is. But still, you got to tip your cap to Binance. They're holding strong with over 16 billion in liquidity. To give some perspective, Ethereum still with over 124 billion. So it is in a league of its own still. But Avalanche quickly climbing. Think they're going to catch Polygon very soon. And so let's have a look at some of the top dApps, specifically the Dexes that are gobbling up all that liquidity that's coming to Avalanche. First one I want to look at isn't really a Dex per se. It's BenQi. So BenQi is more of like the Aave of Avalanche. And to be quite honest, this is the one where I've landed most of the liquidity I have on Avalanche right now. I put into BenQi. All right, so this isn't actually the wallet that I have my Avalanche in, but at least you have an idea of what this looks like. So Very much like Aave, basically a borrow and lend site here. So not really a Dex per se, but I wanted to touch upon it anyway in this video because I think it's one of the strongest projects on Avalanche. And it also has the top liquidity. It has over 1.55 billion locked in. So if you're looking for more of a conservative place to store some Avalanche, this is where I'm doing it. And as you can see on your Avalanche, you can get about 6% interest here. So nothing too sexy at all, but you're not worried about impermanent loss or anything like that. Lower risk than some of the other platforms. And then on top of that, 6% or whatever, you're getting a little bit of BenQi token as well. So if I had my wallet attached here, you would see that I would have some unclaimed BenQi rewards and some unclaimed Avalanche awards. That's if you lend Avalanche to the platform. But obviously that's not the only thing you can do here. You can lend stable coins, wrapped BTC, wrapped ETH, some Link, and also the BenQi token itself. Okay, so I'm not going to do a deep dive. There's way too many of these to get through, but I just want to give you an overview of what's going on Avalanche right now from a Dex perspective. Okay, next we got to talk Trader Joe, the second biggest project on Avalanche from a total value locked standpoint at 1.23 billion. This one has really gained a lot of traction really quickly. So if we look at its chart here, in August only had about $26 million in liquidity, and boom, it has just been shooting up very, very quickly. And corresponding with that, the price of its token, the Joe token, has also skyrocketed. Here, if we look at the last month, it was down at about $1 here in early September, just a couple of weeks ago. And now it's all the way up to $4.15. Its all-time high, $4.53, so very close to its all-time high. So, of course, be careful. A market cap of 266 million. So I'm definitely not saying FOMO into any of these. Personally, I am watching. I'm just kind of keeping my eye out on the Avalanche ecosystem. I actually experimented with a bunch of the Dexs that we'll talk about today actually a while ago, like 2 months ago. I forget exactly when, but Avalanche hadn't really taken off yet, but I noticed a bunch of Dexs and I tried a bunch out. But since then, as I said, I moved my liquidity to BenQi because when a chain is first taking off, it can be very hard to know who the winners are going to be in terms of which Dex is actually going to have sustaining power. Right now, it does look like Trader Joe has the advantage. It has the momentum. We saw that with the Binance Smart Chain with PancakeSwap, and they never let go. They just went basically number one right away, used that first mover advantage to solidify themselves. But the way to do that is to fulfill your potential by actually creating a really great platform. And PancakeSwap has been doing that. Still yet to see if any of these Dexs are going to be able to do that in the long run. But Trader Joe definitely is the one to beat right now. They have all the momentum. This is the interface here. As you can see, they have a chart here, which is something different that we have not seen on any other Dexs, any that I know of at least. And just works very much like any other Dex. You can just trade, very good liquidity, second most liquidity in all of Avalanche. And like most Avalanche products, I've had a great user experience. Now the gas fees aren't as cheap as Binance Smart Chain, at least not in my experience, they haven't been, but still obviously much cheaper than Ethereum. And you can also stake your Joe tokens here on the platform and get XJoe. Now, this is kind of a copycat of what Sushi does. A lot of Dexs are starting to do this, where you stake and in return you get your X whatever. In Sushi's case, you get X Sushi. Here you get XJoe. And you're getting about 23% APR here to stake your Joe tokens. And obviously, like any other Dex, you can add liquidity here and share in the fees that accumulate from those liquidity pools. So there is a huge advantage to the Dex that gets liquidity. Really, a Dex is only as good as much liquidity as it has. So Joe certainly has the advantage here right now, way ahead of everyone else from a liquidity standpoint. And so that brings the volume of trades, which in turn gives the incentive to add that liquidity. So if we can see here, the ETH Avalanche pool, 21 million in volume. in 24 hours. Not too shabby at all. That means if you add liquidity to that pool, you're sharing in over 52 grand worth of fees in the last 24 hours. Even more for Avalanche USDT, even more for USDC Avalanche. So here's the APR here that you would receive for adding liquidity. But the reason I'm just saying be careful, things can change really quickly, especially early on in a chain's evolution, is that when I was checking out Avalanche a couple of months ago, Trader Joe was nowhere to be seen. And some of the other Dexs we're going to talk about were the top Dexs at that time. They had first mover advantage. They had the liquidity. But then as you can see, a project like Trader Joe comes along, for whatever reason, gets the momentum, and boom, now it is the hot Dex on Avalanche. So things can change quickly. Just because Joe is the top dog right now doesn't mean it will be forever, but it certainly has the advantage now. So out of all the Dexs right now on Avalanche, it is the safest choice today. All right, moving right along. The next one is Pangolin. And Pangolin is one that I used a while back. It was kind of the hot shot one at the time. It still has just about 300 million in liquidity in it. As you can see here, very much a Uniswap clone. Exact same layout pretty much as Uniswap. And here you can stake your Pangolin tokens, your PNG tokens, to earn wrapped AVAX or to earn OOE at 85 and 82% respectively. If we look at the charts here for Pangolin, if we look at their pairs, we can see the liquidity here. The bulk of the liquidity are in these top two pairs here, which is the Pangolin Avalanche and the Ethereum Avalanche pairs, but very respectable liquidity through a bunch of different pairs here. And obviously Avalanche is just starting to take off. So if their momentum stays and more liquidity comes in, then you're going to see more pairs appear, because anyone can create a pair on any of these Dexs themselves by adding liquidity. You're going to see projects adding their own pairs on these Dexs if they can take off. And so that will just grow from here. But yeah, Pangolin, totally solid project. I've used it a bunch as a Dex, works great. And if we look at their token, has not really had the success as the Joe token has. It has a market cap of just over 34 million, sitting at 163. But the way that Joe is very close to its all-time high, Pangolin is actually down a lot from its all-time high. If we can look at the all-time chart here, when it first launched, it hit 450, then the crash happened. Then it got really hot again right here in August. Boom, went all the way back to its all-time high and crashed from there, and recently has been down again. So its all-time high is actually 499 and it's sitting here at 163. So momentum right now with Trader Joe. Can Pangolin win some of that back? We shall see. And from a project perspective, definitely a solid project. It just right now doesn't quite have the momentum that it used to. And you can track that here on DeFi Llama through the liquidity change. So one day we can see Pangolin has gone up a little bit, but in the last 7 days it's down 6%, where Trader Joe is up 65%. So clearly the momentum with Trader Joe right now. Now the next one I want to look at is Penguin Finance. Penguin is really going more for that PancakeSwap look and feel and brand. As you can see here, it's got a very PancakeSwap-y feel to it. It does more of the hardcore yield farming. So really it's more of a place for degens to get their APR fix, to get that yield fix, because it's not really a Dex. See, if you actually go and you want to buy the token, the PEFI token, it will take you to Pangolin. So it's actually not a Dex per se. It's more of a yield aggregation site where it's taking liquidity from the other Dexes and then allowing you to put your liquidity tokens here in Penguin Finance and getting some higher yield from it through this PEFI token. So as you see here, you can add liquidity tokens from Trader Joe or Pangolin or Sushi here and join these kind of high yield farms. And then they're doing things like having a launch pad, which PancakeSwap did. They have their own NFTs and they're doing gaming and stuff like that. So I would say Penguin Finance, not bad, pretty fun. I used it for a while, but much higher risk. And I would say with these sorts of platforms that are high yield, you got to know what the tokenomics are. Just know that the tokenomics of the PEFI token could have high volatility because a lot of people are earning a lot of it in that yield. So there's going to be a lot of sell pressure. So these are the kind of platforms that you can do really well on, especially early if you're in there while the APRs are really high. But no, they're hard to sustain, Some have done it, many have failed. Doesn't mean they're bad at all. Not really a token I would buy per se because of the volatility, but earning it and selling it, you can do pretty good if you're a degen yield farmer like I can be. So their token sitting at 244, which is pretty good, market cap of just under 40 million bucks. But as you can see, the volatility here in the chart, it came out of the gate flying. People loved it when it launched. Over $4, came down, and you see these kind of ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. So just be careful there. Definitely not a bad project at all from a kind of fun yield aggregator kind of thing, yield farming kind of thing, but just know your risks before you dive in. Okay, but speaking of yield aggregators, if you watch the channel, you know one of my favorites is AutoFarm. Now, here is AutoFarm here. So it has very little liquidity here in Avalanche. It launched first on Binance Smart Chain, but it has grown aggressively across other chains. It's on Polygon, it's on Hecko. So you see it's got almost 800 million still on Binance Smart Chain. That's where I have liquidity locked into Auto. I got in really early on Auto there, but 64 million on Polygon, Hecko 14, Avalanche only 2.5. So I don't think people on Avalanche, it's also on Phantom, have quite found out about AutoFarm yet. It's not a project that does a ton of hype or marketing, but it is just super solid. They've built a really great platform. They're smart about the tokenomics. So even though this is a yield aggregator platform like Penguin Finance, they're very focused on sustainability. So these are the vaults here. So again, you would add liquidity to other platforms, in this case Pangolin, then take your LP tokens and bring them here if you wanted to use them, and they will auto compound. So what AutoFarm does is auto generates the most yield you can get out of those LP tokens. So for example, the Avalanche Pangolin LP here. So if you add liquidity to Avalanche Pangolin on Pangolin and then put your LP tokens in here, you're getting 68.82% altogether, because it's taking the APR that you would normally get, it's auto compounding it, giving you 67% instead of 53, and then you're getting an extra 1% for trading APR to get that 68.82. So that's what AutoFarm does. Auto compounds your LP token so that you can get the most yield, and they do a very, very good job at it. I've been using the platform for months. They're always slowly improving on it. So I wouldn't suggest AutoFarm as like the hot new project on Avalanche, but if you're looking for something that has less risk, that I think will be one of the most sustainable platforms, especially in terms of yield aggregation, I think AutoFarm is one of the best. All right, let's look at one last one here. And the last one I want to look at is Lydia Finance. Only about 7.5 million locked into it, but it's been very hot too. Very similar to Penguin Finance. It looks like a PancakeSwap clone. And again, it's giving you very high APYs. So if you're someone who wants to get in quick on something, well, the APRs are still super high. Definitely not bad. You can do really well by doing this, but just know that the actual Lydia token, which is at 13 cents right now, a ton of people are earning that. They're earning a lot of it. And so there's going to be a lot of sell pressure. Just know that. Now, different from Penguin Finance, they actually have their own swap mechanism here on Lydia Finance and their own liquidity. So they are, I would say, more like PancakeSwap than any other platform on Avalanche right now. They even do the lottery like PancakeSwap does. Their token is LYD, the LYD token, sitting in at around 13 cents right now. And you can see it's going up and up and up and up. So if you were someone that added liquidity a few weeks ago, the token was only at 2 cents and you've done amazing. And because Avalanche is hot right now, there is a ton of liquidity coming in. High risk, but there's a chance that this could go and this could just fly for a while. But at some point, it will probably crash. Just know that. But well, Avalanche is hot. Well, it's new. It's more the new part because you're getting new liquidity in, and then as that new liquidity comes in, the APRs start going down and people get bored, and so they start selling, especially the guys that got in here and have made a ton of cash. So very close to its all-time high right now. High risk, but potential high reward. Market cap is just under 13 million, so still very, very small, but the liquidity is still very small, just under 8 million. But Lydia's been around also. It's not like the new kid on the block, but recently it has been getting more attention. All right, guys, before I go, I gotta mention one other Dex that is on Avalanche. It's one of the big ones. Sushi Swap is on Avalanche. I'm really into sushi these days. They're going to be launching full tilt on Moon River very soon. On Avalanche, they only have about 2 million in liquidity, so very, very small compared to some of the other chains. Because of their brand recognition, I definitely think that's going to start going up as liquidity finds its way to Avalanche, because SushiSwap is, of course, one of the best dexes in all of crypto. And look how aggressive they are with the chains here. They're on Ethereum, Polygon, Phantom, Binance, XDAI, Hecko, Harmony, Cello, Moon River, Avalanche, OKX Chain, Palm, Arbitrum. Amazing. Wow. So Sushi, I am big on, and they are also on Avalanche. Guys, all right, I told you Avalanche is becoming a DeFi hub. That is just a few of the many dexes that you will find on Avalanche. There are so many, I couldn't cover them all here, but that is an overview of really the main ones or the hottest ones right now. Certainly, if you haven't checked out Avalanche yet, it's one of the hottest chains going right now. Worth looking into. Not saying FOMO in, never FOMO in, but of course, do your own research. Make sure you add Avalanche to the chains that you're keeping track of as you do that research. All right, guys, if you found this video valuable, do me a favor, smash that like button. It's so important. Smash the like. It helps other people find us. Of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and hit that notification bell. As I said, Marvin is back finally from vacay this week, so we're going to have a ton of content coming at you. So make sure you stay tuned to CryptoWise. My name's Milton. Until next time, over and out.